The fire chief for the town of Millinocket has been placed on administrative leave according to internal emails obtained by WABI through Maine's Freedom of Access Act. Jonathan Cody was placed on paid administrative leave on May 1st pending the completion of an investigation into a personnel matter, and that's according to an email sent to Cody that evening. The email states the action is not disciplinary in nature. Town officials did not address the nature of the investigation, but the chief is not allowed to discuss it with witnesses, employees, or the complainant, or enter the fire station without written permission from the town manager. Cody is permitted to work from home on limited administrative tasks. Second Assistant Chief Matt Farrington is taking over Cody's operational duties in the interim. Farrington took that role on April 14th. That's according to the department's Facebook page. We have reached out to Cody for comment through the town manager and have not yet to get a response.